The following podcast contains explicit language because, frankly, I am tired of editing out Sonia's swearing. She cannot help it. It's a constant problem, and I'm just tired of dealing with it. So you've been warned.
Smith.
Here it comes.
Fuck you.
This episode is brought to you by
Offline games. Like video games, but think they're too loud, expensive, and you're tired of spending so much time in front of a screen? Try offline games. They're video games that you can play on your kitchen table. Each game comes with a handy board and either cards or dice, or sometimes both. And when you're finished playing, offline games can be easily stored in our patented offline game receptacle. Order your offline game today using the code WINNER and save 20%.
Houston, flight is go.
Milo, let's go. SPM. Safety contact.
From Assignment X, Amalgamated Storytelling, and thesoniashow.com, it's Dorking Out with Sonia Mansfield and Christopher Allen Smith.
Welcome to episode 77 of Dorking Out, a podcast for people who like to dork out about stories and the stories and culture that we love. That means movies and TV, books and podcasts, and everywhere else you find stories that interest you. This is the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and I want to make sure it sticks edition. If you've seen a couple episodes, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's my favorite scene in the series so far. Anyway, point is, with me today is my co-host, professional writer, and author of The Sonia Show, my number one fan, the leader of the Christopher Allen Smith fan club. Sonia
There's only
Mansfield.
one member.
And she doesn't know she's a member.
Yeah. It's somebody I hate signed up.
That's right. That's right. Somebody signed Sonia up as a joke, and she doesn't even know. Anyway, Sonia Mansfield.
Hey there.
Hey, Lee. Hi. I don't know why I
With
said
me
that.
today is my co-host, Emmy Award-winning filmmaker and nerd author Christopher Allen Smith.
Hello.
Hello.
So, we have an announcement. It is... Sonia...
Smith is pregnant, you guys!
That's right.
Yay!
That's right. Oh, really? Sonia and I want to have a serious discussion with you about what's coming up. Everything's going to be okay.
Everything's fine.
Change. We just wanted to sit you down, and we want you to know that Sonia and I really love you. But sometimes in life, things happen and changes have to be made. Sometimes they're tough. And they're whatever. No, sorry.
It totally sounds like you're going to get a new co-host.
Right. It sounds like
a younger, prettier co-host. I see how it is.
I could say something so supremely mean right now, but I won't because I've already filled my quota for today, and we don't need to go into that story. This is a long, long, rambling way of saying we're changing the format of Dorking Out somewhat. Every week in your podcast feed, you are going to get the same amount of Dorking Out fantasticness that you have come to expect, which is about a half an hour out of the hour and a half that is delivered. Point is, though, instead of giving you everything in one huge chunk, usually on Sunday nights, Mondays, we are going to be breaking it up and having one segment per episode. We're going to be giving you about 3 episodes a week, 2 or 3 episodes a week, but each episode is going to be shorter, probably not tighter.
Let's be honest, probably not tighter, but it'll be an easier way for people to listen to the segment that they want to hear.
Yes. It's also going to be a little bit looser, which you might hear from this episode. For example, while I was explaining to you, I was being serious and doing a podcaster's job of explaining to you how the show's going to change. There was a printer in the background that was printing and beeping a moment ago. And I'm not going to cut it out. I'm going to leave it in. We're not going to do another take.
Oh, and we're saying naughty words now.
That's right. That is the transition to... We're going to let you know at the beginning of every episode where we say naughty words that we are going to be saying naughty words, but you had better be fucking sure that your kids are not listening to this goddamn show. Because if there
Yeah,
is,
we're not fucking responsible for your fucking kids.
I swear to Christ, I'm going to blaspheme from one end of this podcast to the other. And yes, I will probably answer for it and burn forever in a lake of fire. But point is, I will have said some dirty words on the show. Not really. Yes, we are gone are the beeps. We are going to let in the swears. We're going to just see how that is. And that's it. So,
listeners,
that's what we're
you
doing.
guys should be really excited. The show's going to be a lot of fun.
This show is going to be 2.5 to 3.7% better. And we do it all for you.
And he's exactly like he's been working on the numbers all week. So
That's right.
it is going to be about 3.7% more fun.
That's right. At most. That is the high end of the envelope that I'm willing to say. If this show is not for you, well, we're doing almost nothing to improve it. So, goodbye. But,
please leave a review in our iTunes.
which now that I think about, we should probably wrap this segment up because we told you all this stuff on the Golden Globes episode on Monday. So, you know what? Sorry. Sonia, why don't you give us the rundown of what we're talking about on today's show?
Okay, in this episode, we review the new Amazon series, The
What are we
Marvelous
doing?
Mrs. Reviewing.
Oh, sorry. All right, keep going.
In this episode, we review the new Amazon series, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is created by Amy Sherman Palladino, the mastermind behind Gilmore Girls. And whenever I think of the Gilmore Girls, I think about how much Smith's wife Laura hates them. So she will be joining us to talk about it. Does she hate it with the same burning hot passion? Stay tuned.
And in our second segment, we're not having a second.
There's no second segment, you dopes.
That's right. We got you, sucker. I don't know who we think we're fooling, Sonia, but with all of that said, let's dive right into the only topic.
Or the topic. Topic 1, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Stop me if you've heard this one before.
Stop.
This
Sorry. Keep going.
new Amazon series is created by Amy Sherman Palladino and stars a fast-talking brunette who is pursuing a way of life that displeases her parents. And it's set in a city filled of lovable and not so lovable eccentric characters. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, has a lot of Gilmore Girls-like qualities, but I think it's a very different show. Set in 1958 New York, a nice Jewish housewife, Miriam Midge Maisel, played by Rachel Brosnahan, I looked that up, reveals that he is leaving. Her husband reveals he's leaving her for his secretary. So instead of doing whatever she can to win him back, which is what everyone's telling her to do, she goes on stage at a comedy club and ta-da, her love affair with stand-up comedy is born. The show is about finding her voice on stage and balancing it with her family life. It also stars Alex Bornstein, Michael Zegan, Miriam Hinkle, and Tony Shalhoub. Joining us to talk about it is Smith's better half, Laura, who went on an epic rant about Gilmore Girls last year that is like one of my favorite things ever. Laura, let's just get into it. What'd you think?
I loved this show.
Yay!
I really liked it. It was nothing like the Gilmore Girls. Although the Gilmore Girls was like a puddle that I wanted to step in all day long. And splash it over. And it was awful.
Yeah.
That almost sounds like you liked it. Like you're having fun stomping around in the mud.
I had fun
making fun of how
thrashing it.
much she hated it.
Right.
I had fun hating it. I mean, that was a terrible show.
I'm relieved that you liked it because I really like this show too.
I really liked it too. The problem I had with the Gilmore Girls was that, they based their whole shtick, they based their likability on their likability toward other people. They seemed to gear their kind of personalities and their actions against how adorable they could be, or how Pinterest worthy or Instagram worthy their lives could be. And I hated that about them. I hated that weakness about them.
Yeah.
Miriam gives two shits what people think about her.
Yeah.
She's...
Also, we're going to have swearing on the show now. Continue.
I'm totally good with that. Are we really going to do that? Tell me yes.
Well, you know what? This is...
Tell me yes that we're going to start
through the
swearing
magic of
on stuff.
podcasting, I guess we're having this offstage discussion on the air. Yeah, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Fuck it.
Fuck yeah! Okay. Continue.
So yeah, she gives two shits. And part of that is because she can afford to give two shits.
Right.
So there's a little bit of privilege there, but she's incredibly charming. She's very, very funny. She's just really likable, and I really liked the show a lot. I liked the period, the way they'd set it in, the time period that it's set in. I love the costumes. I love that.
I want to wear everything she's wearing.
I know, and I want Lenny Bruce to fall in love with me now.
He's so handsome in this.
He is. He's a real dreamboat.
You know what I love is that I think her comedy act is actually really funny.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we've seen stuff like this before, and you're like, well, that's not funny. Or I like it when you see someone who's actually good at what they do.
Yeah.
And I think when we've seen other things about comedians, like, they're just like, their comedy isn't really funny. And you're like, how are they a successful comedian? I think her stuff is actually funny.
Yeah, I agree. And I love that she's not cynical. She's just not cynical at all. She's just, and her comedy is not cynical.
Yeah.
It's just really honest, and it's funny. She's very, very funny. I could see, why she would be successful, in comedy, because she's funny.
But her husband is such a dud.
He really is.
I think he's the worst part of the show.
He's awful. Yeah, he's...
Oh! The husband on the show. I got it. All right, keep going.
Yeah, the husband on the show is really, really terrible.
What's it like?
The husband on the show, not this show, the show that we're talking about, is really, really terrible.
Nobody in this conversation knows what it's like to be married to a dud.
No.
Except Sonia, who, as we know, her husband has been on the show before.
He's such a dud, right?
So we don't need to tell you that,
yeah.
audience. But anyway, point is, I don't know why we're talking about awful husbands. It has nothing to do with anything that's going on at all. There's no subtext here. Stop attacking me!
I just think he's like the worst part of the show. I felt like I wish he would have just left her and then we didn't have to see him anymore.
Yeah, I kind of agree. He seems a little tacked on right now. Yeah. Because she's kind of gone on in her life. And who else I love? I love the fathers of Tony Shalhoub
and Kevin Pollak.
Yeah, I loved them, and they're adorable. Tony Shalhoub's kind of he's a bit of a turd. Yeah. But, they're believable as these very kind of, gendered representations of a 50s or 40s and 50s style husband and father, businessman. Yeah. So, I don't know. They're just super believable. So, I loved them.
Right. Yeah.
Smith, what did you think?
I did like this. All of the things that irritated me about Gilmore Girls did not irritate me about this, and I think I might have discussed this before in our Gilmore Girls discussion, is that there's a very Aaron Sorkin rat-a-tat-tat quality to the dialogue, and with some Aaron Sorkin material, if that kind of dialogue is in the wrong setting, like that Sunset Strip Saturday Night Live type show that he did years ago or whatever, it comes off as incredibly artificial. But if that, but I think The West Wing, where it's a collection of people that are kind of at the top of their game in every aspect of that building, it makes sense because it's the smartest people in the world, or among the smartest people in the world, on the top of their game on their best day, so they can have this really rich and vibrant and crazy dialogue, and it feels real. Gilmore Girls, it just felt artificial. You know what it is? It's kind of like this. Gilmore Girls is the newsroom of the Palladino shows, which is all of the things that people love them for are out of whack and out of control, and it's just ridiculous and almost self-parody. This show...
By the way, nobody, when it comes to the actual like Gilmore Girls, the one that was on like the WB and all that, like people super love that show, but I think everyone would agree with you about the one on Netflix.
I'm sure, yeah. So, but this one is really good. There's something about the setting in the 50s. There's something about the setting of her being in comedy and being very attracted to it and watching hours of it and having it being very quick. There is something about watching the fathers kind of go at each other, and you can see they're giving Maisel a lot of bad advice on how to fix her life and how to whatever, but you can see within the context of their time, they're trying to be good guys. They're trying to look out for either their daughter or son or whatever.
Right.
But you can also see at the same time, it's one of the things, this is a multi-layered show, which is what I like about it, is you can see just how awful well-meaning guys can be in the wrong situation.
Yeah.
And I liked it a lot. I'm not sure I love it, and I'm not sure I'm going to stick with it. I've watched 3 or 4 episodes. I'll probably finish season 1. But I am getting a little tired of, and we've talked about this before, so forgive me, audience, for rambling on about this. You know, I would pay real money to watch a show that is not set in New York or Los Angeles. And that does not revolve around somebody in entertainment, a lawyer, a doctor, or a police officer.
You know... Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
If you pull those out, have it be, you know, some blue collar story in some small town or something. I mean, it's in a lot of the pop culture that we're watching. It really is as though the middle of the country doesn't exist. And I just feel like there's so many untold stories there. We talk about diversity a lot on this show, and it's a very important topic. But the diversity of subject, I think, for me, is a huge addition to that needs to be paid attention to, because it's kind of like, I love this show. It was really fun, but it's kind of like, is this really well-off housewife going to have her dream as a comedian fulfilled, or is she just going to be really well-off in a fantastic apartment in New York? There's not a lot of Jeopardy here, and not that everything has to be about Jeopardy all the time, but it's, yeah.
Partly, though, that's why her relationship with, is it Jackie, the Alexis?
Oh, Susie.
Yeah, Susie. Sorry, I was having a brain fart there. Partly that's why Susie's interesting, is because she has real Jeopardy in her life. She's a lesbian. They haven't come out with that, but
wait, what?
I'm pretty sure.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
I kind of got that impression as well.
You know, and so
I think you gals might be reading too much into this.
She just hasn't found the right guy yet.
That's right. You know, a guy without a penis. I'm not wrong. All right, sorry, keep going.
The stuff with Midge and Susie is my favorite part of the show.
Yeah, I like the way they play off each other. They're a good team. So I like them a lot. And the differences in their socioeconomic standings are interesting.
Yeah.
So I like her a lot.
And I think that, you know, it is about showbiz, and I understand where you're coming from, Smith. But I also think there's something interesting about watching a comedian working on their craft and showing that it actually does take work. Like, the show is like sending a little bit of a mixed message because she kind of does just get up on stage and wing it, and she's really good at it. But there's
Right.
also about it. They also talk about like how she has to like work on it and work on her joke and work on her routine. And I think it's trying to balance that because it would be super boring if like every episode we watch her like tell the same 5 jokes because she's working on her act. But I think that it does talk about that. And there's like the whole episode where she's just bombing and it's so awkward to watch. But I think it's important because then they show like comedy's hard,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and I wanted to say about the dialogue, I think the like kind of like rat-a-tat-tat dialogue here works because of the period. It reminds me of like old movies.
Yes.
And in
definitely.
old movies, like everybody talks like that in old movies.
Right. And maybe that's the thing is, you know what? That might be the thing is, I'm sure somebody who grew up in the 50s, even in New York, might watch this and it might drive them up the wall.
Right. They're like, nobody talks like that.
But yeah, yeah, exactly. You, me, Laura have all watched a lot of movies from all span of, you know, for as long as movies have been out. So this feels like a very 50s movie. This feels like that kind of thing. And maybe that's one of the reasons that Gilmore Girls or those Netflix movies of the Gilmore Girls just drive me and Laura especially crazy, is because we know those people. Those people are in front of us at Starbucks all the time, and they are not that fun.
No.
They are not fun at all.
Right.
No, they're terrible human beings.
I want to run them over in my car.
They are terrible human beings in the Netflix series. I was so disappointed.
Is there? Sorry, Sonia, I don't mean to interrupt, or actually I kind of do, and I'm sorry, I apologize. Is there anything in pop culture, I'm talking to my wife here right now, is there anything in pop culture that you despise more than the Gilmore Girls?
I'm sure there is, but I'm blanking on what it is right now.
All right, so Gilmore Girls might be the thing.
It's up there.
It's got to be in the top 5 of things that you hate of anything you've ever watched. Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. I was just curious.
I would put on my
David
list.
Bournier sucks too. I don't like him.
Who's he?
Who?
David Bournier.
Who's that?
Oh, the guy from like Angel and
Yes.
Zing.
Really?
That guy.
Why do you hate that guy?
I don't know. He just seems like a dick.
Some people just rub you the wrong way.
He's just, yeah. I don't know. I have a lot of things that I hate.
Really?
Yeah.
David, that seems like such a
I
random
think that's
hate.
really funny. It's like,
Wow. You know what? Hold on.
did you watch Buffy
come
and
up with a
every
list of
time he
things
was
that
on
I
there,
hate.
you were like, I don't like him. Like,
I just don't like you. I
Yeah.
don't like him or her.
Actually, wait a minute. Hold on. Is there anything else that you like? Give me another thing that you hate. And keep in mind that our children might be listening to this episode. Probably not, but maybe.
Like on TV?
Or yeah, like any of this, like David Bournier's. I find that almost shocking. You've never mentioned him. I don't think we've ever watched a show with him. And to feel that you
Yeah,
had this,
because I hate them. I hate
well,
that
no,
guy.
that makes sense.
girl,
I guess.
yeah, I'm not sitting around watching those shows. She hates him.
I hate The Hills.
Okay.
But that's
How do
like
you hate? Wait a minute. How do you hate The Hills, but you watch every episode of every Real Housewives show? It's the same show.
I don't watch all of them. I only watch Beverly Hills and Orange County. That's all.
What about Atlanta or whatever?
I don't watch Atlanta.
Oh.
Good God.
Oh no!
How
No, what is
I have
dare
standards.
you, Smith?
Some kind of standards. I'm sorry. What was that, Sonia?
I said, how dare you mix them up?
Well, I'll tell you how I dare, because they are all the same.
I don't watch them. So
I can't defend myself.
I
I'm not
can't.
asking you to
I have-
defend. I'm just trying to figure.
I have many guilty pleasures, and I'm a complicated person.
Yeah.
So-
no, I got it. I love that
So
about
I
you.
love high quality TV. I also love trash. And I'll note that the woman that plays brown-headed lady, white lady number 1 in Gilmore Girls is currently doing cameo on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, Lauren Graham.
Yes.
Yeah, Lauren Graham.
Yeah.
Brown-headed white lady number 1.
Yeah. Fast-talking brunette.
Yeah,
Number one.
fast-talking brunette who loves coffee and holds coffee cup in a fucking obnoxious method.
Right.
Yeah, so her.
Jesus, wait.
And she's...
You even hate the way she holds her coffee cup?
She holds it in this, like, weird way.
Okay, no, that's fine. I was just... Okay.
So, anyway, and she's actually pretty good in that.
Yeah,
So
I like her. The Netflix series was such a fail, but I like Lauren Graham.
You hear that, Lauren Graham? You're actually all right.
Things are looking up for you.
Believe it or not.
Things are looking up.
And Laura wasn't believing it for a long time. You're all right.
You're all right.
Turns out you have some talent in this area.
I'll have to come up with a list of things that I hate.
Smith, who's an actor that you hate?
Don't make that list too long, but we will not talk about for any specifics.
Smith,
I'm sorry,
what's an
Sonia.
actor you hate?
What was that?
An actor you hate.
Besides, the list is very short because I try not to hate actors because a lot of times what ends up being awful about them is not their fault, but kind of what directors do to them. And here I will just cite again Natalie Portman's performance in the Star Wars prequels. If you had only seen her act in those 3 movies, you would think she is the worst actress of all time. But Rob Schneider, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I'm not sure there's any actors I truly hate. I'm just... Yeah, I don't think there are actors that I truly hate. There are an awful lot of actors, Freddie Prinze Jr. style actors, where I am just not interested.
Yeah.
It's just...
Back in the day, I didn't like Helen Hunt.
Why Helen Hunt?
She just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, I didn't like Mad About You. She was in, like, As Good as It Gets, and all of a sudden everyone's like, she's a big star. And I was like, if you say so, but I think she's the stand-in for, like, the real actress. Like, she just did not do it for me. But now that she's, like, older and, like, when she pops up in something, I was like, oh, it's Helen Hunt, whatever. Like, I don't hate her, but back in the day, boy, she rubbed me the wrong way.
There was an actress in the 90s. I want to say Nancy Travis. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. I remember she was in everything.
She was in everything. It was just like, okay, fine. I get it. You need a white curly-haired lady to be in the show or the movie or something, and there she is. But
there's Nancy Travis.
That's right. I don't understand. Anyway, sorry. You guys continue. I'm going to look at a quick list of actors here to figure out who I hate.
Well, what else should we talk about?
How many episodes of this show have you watched?
I have watched the first 5.
Okay.
And this season is 8. And it's already been, when it was picked up as a 2-season order. So there's going to be a second season. So no spoilers. I don't know how this first season ends.
Yeah, I've watched the first 3 and I like it, and I'll probably kind of stick with it. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to continue watching after the first season. It's kind of like I like it, I enjoy it, but I'm not super passionate about it.
I'm in for sure. If I'm watching the second season, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to continue to watch it.
I'm going to watch it and covet all of her clothes.
Yes.
I'm into that sort of thing.
Yeah, the clothes are incredible.
Yeah, it's kind of costume porn, actually, this show. Mm-hmm. But I'm still lusting after that green dress that oh God, the actress in La La Land, Emma. Oh yeah, Emma Stone. Oh God, it was killing me. Sorry. Yeah,
that green dress she wears in the dance scene. Oh God. And
I loved it. I loved her yellow dress too. Yeah,
I know. That was a good one too.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Now we're just going to start talking about dresses we love.
That's right. All right. So
now it's time for our episode of Dressing Out with Laura.
That's right. All right. So I guess the upshot is good show.
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being Breaking Bad. Actually, on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being Breaking Bad, 0 being Gilmore Girls, where would you put this?
I'd give this a solid 8.
Oh, wow. All right. Interesting. Okay. What
Maybe 7.5.
Okay. What would you...
Yeah, I was like, this is a solid 7 show for me.
Yeah, maybe 7.5.
Yeah. Okay. That's right. I think for me with TV, and I'm sure our audience should probably listen to Sonia and Laura more than they listen to me. For me, this is a 7.
That's true.
And not in all things, just in this one specific single episode. In fact, just the first half of this episode. Other than that, all ears on Chris. Anyway, point is...
God.
Whatever.
He thinks he's so charming.
Oh my God, is that what's irritating you? That I have this kind of Gilmore Girls self-satisfied air on the show?
How does he hold his coffee cup,
Let's not do therapy right
Laura,
now.
how does he hold his coffee cup?
Holy smokes. You know, it's funny. That is... Wow, I might be having some insight into our listener numbers, because one of the things that bugs me about the Gilmore Girls, but for some reason doesn't bug me about this show, is they're performing for people that are listening to them talk. Like if they're ordering coffee, they're performing for the barista or the other patrons, and they think that everybody around them is watching them.
Everybody's looking at me all the time.
Right. And so they're making these little aside jokes. They're kind of doing shtick, even though they're just kind of walking down the street, and workmen just happen to be walking by, and they're just so self-satisfied. And that is a little bit the little smugness, the little self-satisfaction is essentially 3/4 of my persona on this show.
Really? I didn't know that.
You know why you didn't know that? Because you don't listen to my show.
I do listen.
Because you don't care.
All right.
I'll just sit here.
No. That's as far as we're willing to take this improv. Right now. So, can you guess what we were doing 2 hours ago, listeners? Anyway, point is, so 777?
Yep.
7.5.
7.5. All right, cool. And Sonia, you're going to continue. Laura, you're going to continue.
Yep.
I am out at the end of the season, I think, because there's just too much other good stuff to watch.
Well, then Laura could come back on, and we'll talk about season 2.
All right.
I'll
and
accept that
you can just
invitation.
sit out.
I love it.
Dorking Out with Chris and Sonia is on Twitter at Dorking Out Show, where you can find Chris at Jet Jurgens and me, Sonia, at The Sonia Show.
Wow, you got really serious right there. All of a sudden.
Did I?
That's kind of, a little bit. Because
That's my podcast voice.
Well, because we're recording this about 10 minutes after we recorded the segment, and now we're all an official podcasting host.
This is how my voice normally sounds. But then when you hit record, and I'm like, hello.
Hi.
The Dorking Out Show is on Twitter at... That's my podcast voice.
Yes. You can read about Sonia's random adventures at her blog, thesoniashow.com, and track the glacial pace, which is technically still progress of my novel and other hijinks at jetjurgens.com. Don't be fooled by the fact that blog has not been updated in months.
The glacial pace is still faster than what I'm doing.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You're just writing a much-loved blog that thousands of people read and pay attention to.
But I haven't been working on my book.
Which that's the thing. You've already written 3/4. You've written 9/10 of it on your blog. You just got to do cut and paste. Anyway, point is,
I can't even be bothered.
You can't be bothered, and I don't know why I'm hectoring you about it, because I've been working on this book for a million years, and I can hear the eyes of listeners all over our vast listenership rolling their eyes at A, my interpretation of the actual size of our audience, but B, at me talking about how long it's taken to write my book. You know what? Why are we talking about my book? The point is, you can find out more about the Dorking Out Show at dorkingout.com. While you're over there, you can support us. Please support us by giving us a review.
Please, you guys, come on.
Give us a review on Apple Podcasts. We have a handy-dandy link at dorkingout.com, dorkingoutshow.com, to whisk you right over. just go to dorkingoutshow.com to whisk you right over so you can gush your love all over us as long...
I don't want your love all over me.
Only
Gross.
as long as that love comes in the form of a 5-star rating and review.
Okay, that I'm interested in.
We would do it for your podcast.
We totally would.
Your stupid, petty, poorly performed podcast. We would even do it for you.
So do it.
So do it for us. How could you possibly ignore?
Come on, you guys. Do it for our country.
How could you possibly ignore a pitch like that? That's so loving and inviting and appreciative. Instead of knee-jerk sarcastic and anticipatorily
No, seriously, you guys, we need your reviews. You have to do it.
Please.
You have to.
Our, meaning my, self-esteem is hanging on by a very thin thread.
Mine is not.
A thread that only your love, shown on Apple Podcasts for some reason, can bolster. So please, do this.
Yeah, you guys, gush your love all over Smith. He wants it.
That's right. All right, Jesus, we really have changed the show. All right, so that's the show. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time.
Do you have anything else you want to say?
Oh, do you have anything else you want to say, Sonia, before we say goodbye?
I just want to say bye.
Bye!
This has been a presentation of Rocket Spots Media. The Dorking Out Show is on Twitter at Dorking Out Show, where you can find Chris at Jet Jurgens and Sonia at The Sonia Show. You can read about Sonia's random adventures at thesoniashow.com and track the slow and creeping progress of Chris's novel and his other hijinks at jetjurgens.com. You can find out more about The Dorking Out Show at dorkingoutshow.com. While you're over there, you can support us by giving us a review on iTunes. We have a handy-dandy iTunes link to whisk you right back to 2007, where you can leave your review and 5-star rating in iTunes. We'd do it for your podcast. Want to dork out even more? Well, you can sign up for our newsletter, where you'll get all the headlines we use as fuel for the show. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening.